Hey, it's Eric Scott, and I am here with one of my creative spark plugs. So these are quick little activities just to kind of get those creative juices flowing. And today I want to share with you something that I've developed kind of recently. Well, actually, if I think back, I can think back several years ago that these were things that I was doodling a lot in my visual journals. And I've kind of come back to them recently, and I was kind of working with this imagery. It's a fairly simple idea, but I really kind of fell in love with it all over again. And I was like, oh, I gotta share this with people. So this is a technique. This is something, I don't know if you want to call it a technique, but it's an idea. It's a concept that I'm calling wave forms. So it's just really a simple way of using lines to create this kind of wave form imagery. And there's only a few simple rules, and even if you break them and kind of do your own thing, that's pretty awesome as well. It's not a steadfast like, oh, it has to be done this way, but I'm going to share with you my thinking behind it and show you this real simple way of working. But it's a way to generate some ideas. It's a way to just maybe relax yourself. So it has a lot in common with things like Zentangle or neurography. So anyway, let's go ahead and get to it. So all you're going to need is a pen, pencil, paper. I'm going to use a Sharpie, but I'm going to show you some other ideas. So a pen, a pencil. You can even do this with paint. Actually, I've been doing this with some of my daily paintings that I've been up to. So anyway, let's go ahead and turn it over, and I'll share this quick, easy technique with you. All right, so I've got my paper, got a Sharpie, and I'm ready to go ahead and start. And like I said, you could do this with any kind of paper, any kind of pen, pencil, like I said, even some paint. So I'm going to use a Sharpie, and I have just some basic rules. So yeah, these are my rules, but feel free to break them or bend them. But rule number one is that I start at an edge and I end at an edge. So I can go from top to bottom, top to side, side to bottom, however I want to do it. But I start at an edge and I want to end at an edge. The second rule is, since this is wave forms, I want to have the imagery I'm going to use is a nice curvy, very elegant kind of line, and it can kind of wave back and forth, just curve nice and gently back and forth. And so let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to start at the top, and just going to, use that gentle curvy motion. I try to keep my elbow off the table. You could do big waves. You could have it, you could start over here and end up over here. Just trying to keep them very gentle, not gentle, but very elegant, very curvy. Don't want to do too kind of drastic changes. So first one, first rule, start an edge and end at an edge. Second rule, nice curvy lines. The third rule is that whenever I do my other waves, that it has to come back and touch some places. So I'm going to do one that kind of echoes the one that I've done. And so I'm going to start over here. I can start way over here. I can be really close. So I'll just start here. And then I just want to bring it in and gently touch the first wave, but then it kind of bounces off. And then it touches again, and it kind of bounces off and curves back in, and it touches, and it's going to bounce off again. Maybe it comes all the way over here. So again, I started at an edge, ended at an edge, try to keep these nice curvy lines, and then it has to touch. So I'm just going to repeat this idea. And so, over here, now it's going to come around, curve, it touched, now it's going to bump up, come down, it's going to bounce off a little bit. All right, well, maybe this time I'm going to start way over here. And so it's going to come in, but this time when it touches, okay, now it's got to bounce a little bit. Oh, now it's going to curve back in. So I'm having it kind of bounce and touch more often. Maybe one last. So I have all these little curves, all these little bounces. And so now I'm going to come back in. And again, it touched, bounces off, it touches, bounce off. Trying to keep my elbow off, trying to keep the lines really smooth. think that's the key, is to have these smooth, curvy lines. And as you do this, you sometimes you end up with these, like this is a very sharp curve right in here. And let's go ahead and do the same thing. Maybe over here, I'll start down here, come around. Maybe really thin. Maybe this is just gonna kind of go off over here. And then come back in. And so this is going to bounce a few times. All right. If I want to, I can actually come inside and do kind of the same thing. So maybe I want to split up some of these shapes. So I'm going to come in and just kind of weave in between some of these lines. All right, maybe this one's going to come in around this way. The biggest thing is sometimes as you're drawing, your hand or your pen or your pencil is kind of like in the way. So it's kind of hard to see exactly where you're kind of bouncing to, where the curves are. Okay, and maybe, and I do this as much or as little as I want. And so I'm still sticking to that rule number one. I'm starting at an edge, ending at an edge, trying to keep those smooth, curvy lines. And then I'm just trying to allow each line to touch and bounce off of the previous line. And maybe I keep adding it, or maybe I just call that quits because I feel like it's got, it's kind of filled up a lot. Maybe I will go ahead and do one more inside of here. That kind of bounces around inside. Okay. And I'm just looking for those really like curvy lines. It gets really dynamic, especially when I start having all these little curves, almost like ribbons. And then what do I do with it now? So that's really where like the creativity comes from, and you can try anything. I could leave it just like this. I could take colored pencil and color it in, or marker. I could take some ideas from Zentangle and fill it in, or I could do some shading. There's really, really a lot of ideas. So let me show you a few of the ones I've done. So here's one that I just used some graphite on, and I did it with a thin black pen, and then I just went in and did some shading. And here's another one, again, started with some thin black pen and did the shading with pen. So this was just pen and ink. And here's one where I added a lot more lines to it. So I made some of the lines thicker, and then I went in with a really thin pen and drew over them. So you could really just use this as like a coloring sheet and color it in, or you can practice your shading, or you could do different patterns. And here's one that I did on construction paper. It was a blue turquoise construction paper. Used Sharpie, and I just took some basic colored pencils, and actually two colors, a dark blue and a white, and kind of did some shading on it. So anyway, that's all there is to it. All right, so that's it. I mean, it's not a super technical, super hard, super complicated idea, but it's just a different way of getting yourself started. And so just like Zentangle or the Norographic art, it's really just a simple way with some simple rules that you follow. So those rules give you a few limitations, and see what you can do with it. And feel free to do this, use it, make art out of it. Feel free to share this video, show it to other folks, share it on social media or anything like that. I think this is a real quick, simple thing to do, and you can get some really awesome, wonderful results. And so don't forget to share your results and tag me in them, and I'd love to see them. So thank you so much, and I hope you got a little bit of a creative spark from this.